This is J. Krishnamurti's 10th public talk in Saanen, 1963.
This is the last talk for this year here in this tent. If I may, I would like this morning to explore together into something that man has been seeking for centuries upon centuries. He has called it by different names, and very few apparently have found it. And in exploring this morning, in the very exploration, I think we'll be able to have the skill to find out for ourselves if there is or if there is not something which man, through his turmoil, sorrow and happiness and all the confusion and misery, has put together. And if we can go beyond and find out for ourselves if there is something that man has called God. God in the West, East it has a different name, and each one of us is seeking something. And if I may, I'm going to go into that, exploring. And to explore, you need a certain skill. The skill that comes in the exploration itself. Not that you must first have the skill and then explore, but rather in exploring, in uncovering, in penetrating. In that very process, you have the skill, the expertness, the excellence with which to look. But to look, you must have, obviously, certain deep skepticism, doubt. Doubt not only of the organized religion, but also doubt of everything that you discover in yourself, in your exploration. For you cannot accept a thing, accept what the organized religions and society have imposed on the brain, nor all the reactions in explorating, the reactions which we have, because we want something permanent, something stable, certain. That's the craving for in each one. And when there is that craving, that desire for certainty, for permanency, you have every kind of experience. And with that experience one is satisfied, contented, and remains in stagnation. But if there is from the beginning a questioning, a doubt, a skepticism, that which you observe, skepticism in that which you observe, in that which you feel, see. Always question. Then that very skepticism, that very doubt brings about a skill. And that skill is absolutely necessary. for a mind that would explore into something that it cannot possibly conceive or formulate. Religions throughout the world have maintained that there is something which is not man-made, which is not mechanical. They have given great many attributes to it. And those religions, through propaganda, through centuries, have imposed and conditioned the mind. And we are caught in that. Each one, consciously or unconsciously, deep down, is a prisoner to this deep, continued, subtle propaganda of 10,000 years or 2,000 years. And to put away all that requires a great deal of energy. And to explore into oneself, you need, I assure you, tremendous doubt of everything you discover. Religions have had probably a certain use at the beginning in making man civilized, little civilized. But now those organized religions have no longer any meaning at all, because man has gone beyond all sense of being civilized. He can kill and wipe away a whole city in a moment. So, you and I, if we want to find out, and I'm sure that is generally the urge of most intelligent, even intellectual people, to find out. To find out if there is something. Not to accept, not to have tremendous knowledge of what has been said about the various religions or the various religions have said about it, but to actually find out. To find out is different from experiencing that which you have found out. The moment you desire to experience, then you cease to have any doubt, any skepticism. You are a slave to experience. Please observe your own explorative process as the speaker is talking. Don't be just satisfied with his words, his explanations. Then he will be exploring and you will be merely listening, or rather hearing words that have very little meaning. But if you also, in listening or exploring, then you will discover for yourself as skill, so that the mind and the brain are sharp, clear, incisive, so that there is no question. of its accepting any authority. Because we are bred on authority. All our life is based on what has been, which has become the authority. What the various religious teachers have said or have not said, and the interpretations of the priests who have vested interest in the teacher, in the teaching, and who have been brought up, conditioned, shaped by this authority. And to question that authority now has very little value outwardly. Because even in the communist world, where religion is taboo, they allow priests to function. Because religion, as throughout the world, is more or less harmless. You can practice your own particular idiosyncrasy of religious idea in your house, in your heart. That has no value at all for the political beings, for the powers. And so they let you do what you like about religion. But the moment it becomes dangerous, moment you assert pacifism, do not kill, and so on, you become a danger. And so religions have become a tame thing with which you play on Sunday. And it has certain morality, custom, tradition, ceremonies, which excites, which give you a certain sensation attending a church. And they all become quite harmless. And so you can carry on with your religion as long as you don't interfere with politics, with the leaders. And in the Western world, religion, that is, the organized religion, has never stood out strongly against war, against nationalism, against the butchery, in the name of peace, in the name of religion. On the contrary, they have encouraged war. So now, we are tame human beings, conditioned by fear, by the authority of the church, or of the temple, or of the priest. And we play with religion. And we turn to it when we are in deep sorrow, to seek comfort. But religion, the real thing, it doesn't give comfort. It's a drastic thing, it's a ruthless thing. It's not a tame thing which you can carry about with you. It destroys you. And we're going to explore into that. Not from any particular point of view, not from the point of view of any particular individual, or any particular philosophy. But we are going to go into it as far as we can verbally, and perhaps more than verbally, if we are prepared to inquire, to really strip ourselves deeply and find out, to explore, there must be virtue. Not custom. Morality has become custom, habit, a superficial thing, conditioned by the psychological structure of society. Which we are. And we live in that habitual, customary morality. I am talking of virtue as something quite different. Virtue is not authority in action. So first, we are going to look into authority. By understanding authority, intelligently, skillfully, clearly, deeply, in the very process of that understanding, virtue comes into being. Virtue is not cultivable. It cannot be cultivated. As you cannot cultivate love, virtue cannot be cultivated. But if you understand the enormous significance and the depth and the brutality of authority, and out of that understanding, the beauty of virtue comes into being. I mean by authority the origin, the beginning, when man was inquiring, seeking, searching, groping after. And that authority at the beginning, and that original inquiry, searching, has become tradition. Which is the past, which is our tradition, which is our custom. And the continuation of that authority, the past, the tradition, the values, which society has imposed and which we have developed as character, in character. Character is the reaction, the resistance created by the conflict in society psychologically. And that becomes the authority. The experience from which we function, from which we see, observe. So, if we would inquire If we would explore, there is no authority for exploration. Please follow this, because I feel if we could this morning, after all the 9 talks that we have had here, if we could seriously explore into this question, perhaps when you do leave, not only this tent, but when you go away, back to your homes and your countries and to all your innumerable problems and the miseries that confront each one, then perhaps you will go to them with a different mind, with a different heart, with a different feeling altogether. After all, that's what we are trying to do here. To bring about a complete revolution, a mutation in consciousness. Because change, mere change, is degeneration. Because change implies a continuity of what has been modified. It is not a revolution. And we are talking about revolution, a complete, total mutation in the way of thinking, feeling, being. And that mutation cannot possibly take place if it remains merely at the verbal, intellectual level. And that's why, if you are earnest, you must explore to the very depths of your being. And out of that exploration, you will discover for yourself if there is or if there is not. So, authority, psychological authority as memory, as the things that guide you, that shape your thought, that control your action. That authority must be understood totally and completely. And then in that understanding, real virtue is born, for virtue is spontaneous. Not a thing you have built up as a wall, as a resistance which will help you to remain safely enclosed within your own self-centered activity. So exploration implies skill in virtue. Because if you are tethered to any authority, psychologically, not legalistically, you understand the difference. If you disobey the law of the country or of the policeman outside, you will be arrested and go to prison. We are not talking of that. But we are talking psychological authority. The authority which one has built up through knowledge, through experience. The authority of an experience which you have had. Because if you are caught in authority, caught in any belief that gives comfort, then the mind is not swift enough, subtle enough to follow in your exploration. So you see, a mind that is exploring, a brain that is questioning, does not question from a fixed point. It does not take up a position from which it explores. It is moving. And in that very movement is the exploration. So when you begin to explore, you are not exploring something beyond yourself. You are exploring the whole process of your own consciousness. Because that's the basis from which you think. That's the basis from which you feel. And that consciousness shapes your thought, your feeling, and your exploration. Therefore, you have to explore not to find out, but to explore the instrument that is going to find out. You understand? I hope I am making myself clear. Because we have only one instrument, the brain, which is the seed of thought. And if that thought is not completely inquired into, explored, searched out, questioned, then you have no means of inquiry. So the brain, the reactions of the brain must be understood and explored and questioned. Please follow all this. It's going to be rather difficult. That is, when the brain is exploring itself, its reactions, the motives, the demands, the urges, the things that it has experienced, stored up, then there is the observer and the thing it is observing. Isn't that? That's what takes place when you observe, when you explore, when you are watching. As long as there is a division between the observer and the thing observed, there is not only conflict, but there is no exploration. And therefore there is no skill in exploration. That's why it is extraordinarily I was going to use the word difficult, but it's not. It's it demands an extraordinarily awareness, attention, observation, a keenness to see that when you observe yourself, that there is not this division between the observer and the thing observed, then you only create conflict. And skill does not come out of conflict. Skill comes out of your attention, which means when the observer and the thing observed are one and not separate. So, in observing yourself, you have that instrument of thought, feeling, and the vast experience of centuries as knowledge, which becomes the authority, which tells you what to do and what not to do, which projects into the future the pictures, the conditioned reactions, the images. Of all that one must be free to inquire. If there is or if there is not something beyond the measure of man. Now when you begin to inquire, you will find that your brain, the nerves, the whole of consciousness, not only physically, but psychologically, the consciousness of which is divided as the conscious and the unconscious, separate from the physical. To understand right exploration, the whole thing must be harmonious, one, not separate things. But to bring about that harmony, not integration. You cannot integrate, bring the two or three things together which have been artificially separated. That if you bring them together in unity, that would be still artificial. But that unity, that harmony comes into being when there is an understanding of the whole process of consciousness. That is, when the brain can look at itself negatively, not positively. When the brain can look at its own reaction without guiding it, shaping it, trying to alter what it observes, a negative awareness, which is to be choicelessly aware, then you will find that your brain becomes astonishingly quiet, still. It is only then it can observe, explore. Do you understand? If you would look at something at the stream, at the river or the mountain or the tree, your eyes must be steady, quiet, to look. Similarly, to explore the whole brain, which is the whole seat of consciousness, must be completely quiet, not disciplined. Because a mind that is disciplined and is made quiet is a dead mind, a shallow mind. it degenerates. But a mind that has explored, understood all the reactions, been aware, every movement of thought and feeling, out of that awareness comes an extraordinary discipline. Most of us are disciplined. Society disciplines us. The neighbor, the papers you read, the book, influence. It shapes your conduct, your behavior. And as a reaction, we discipline ourselves to conform to an idea, to what the teacher, the savior, the master wants, or the society has sanctioned. And so discipline becomes conformative, repressive. And therefore discipline doesn't bring freedom. But in being aware completely, totally of all the movements, subtle movements of every thought, and out of that extraordinary, simple, deep awareness comes a discipline that is never conforming. And that discipline is skill. And you cannot have skill if there is authority. The authority of the hero, the example, the authority of what you have already known, which shapes your mind and therefore limits your inquiry, your subtlety, your skill. Then you will find when the brain is completely quiet, it is empty. Because it's only through emptiness that anything can be perceived. You need space. You need emptiness to observe. To observe you, I must have space between you and me. And then I see, then there is see. So a mind that is crippled with sorrow, with problems, with its vanities, with its urge to fulfill and frustrated, caught in nationalism, in all the petty little things of life. Such a mind, such a brain has no space, it's not empty. And therefore it's utterly incapable of observing. And a mind that's being petty, shallow, says I must explore, it has no meaning. It must explore itself and not explore if there is something beyond itself. So when the brain is completely quiet, empty, and that demands astonishing awareness, attention, As I said, that is the beginning of meditation. Then it can see, listen, try to observe. Then it will find out if there is something beyond the measure which man has made to discover reality. To the speaker, there is a reality beyond the things which man has put together. But the speaker has no authority for anybody, because each one has to find out. Each one has to be in a state of tremendous mutation, revolution. And out of that revolution, out of that mutation, there is action, which may or may not affect society. That is irrelevant. And in the very process of uncovering yourself and discovering the whole content of consciousness, there is action. And such a brain in action is explosive. It has effect on society, whether it will or not. But it has no concern whether it has or not. Because most of us want to change society, to do something about it, want to reform it. Every reformation needs further reformation. As every change is a disintegration, is a denial of complete mutation. We are talking of revolution, psychological revolution. And therefore, when there is that revolution, there is a total action. Not action at different levels of our existence. It's a total action of with all your being. And that has tremendous effect in the world, whether you will or will not. That is again irrelevant. So a mind that is seeking reality must be in a state of constant observation and therefore never accumulation and therefore no authority. And it must also be in a state of questioning and therefore doubt, skepticism, a healthy questioning of everything that it feels, considers important or unimportant, so that it has stripped itself of everything and stands completely alone. It's only such a mind that is innocent, and it's only such a mind that can find out if there is reality or not. Do you want to go into this, any of you, to question this?
Who is this that is aware, and is the difference between the watching of the
The gentleman asks, who is it aware? And what is the difference, if I have understood him rightly, between the watcher and the thing that is watched? Is that it?
The watching of the watcher.
Ah, I beg that.
The watching of the watcher is different from awareness.
Is watching the watcher different from awareness?
So the watching of the watcher.
Yes, I understood. Watching the watcher. No. Watcher watching. And who is that? Is a conundrum. Huh? Have you listened to music? Have you listened to somebody saying something? When you have listened totally, completely, is there a watching? Is there a listening? And is there an observer? A watcher? It is only when our attention is broken, divided, then there is the division between the watching and the watcher. And then we ask, who is the watcher? Now, I said something this morning which was, virtue is not authority in action. Now, how did you listen to it? How do you listen? That's rather complicated, doesn't matter. How do you listen to anything? Partially, don't you? You don't give your whole attention. You are partially interested in what the other fellow is saying, and you are not deeply interested. You pay little attention. So there is a division. You listen casually. But if you listen to something, if you listen to yourself completely, with complete attention, you know what I mean by attention? To attend without effort. Don't say, how am I to get attention when I am not attentive? Or say, when I am distracted, how am I to attend? There is no distraction at all. If you paid attention to what you call distraction, that distraction ceases to be a distraction. Isn't it? You want to concentrate on something and your thought wanders off. The wandering off you call distraction. But if you paid attention to the wandering off, then it is not a distraction. Which means you do not pay attention. We are trained in concentration. Because if you're not concentrated in your job, in what you're doing, you lose your job. Therefore, we are trained technologically, conditioned, trained, disciplined to concentrate. Concentration implies exclusion. Isn't it? When you concentrate on something, you are bound to exclude. And that's all we know. When you are concentrating, there is distraction. And therefore, a conflict between what you want to concentrate upon and thought that wanders off from that. So there is a conflict. That's all we know. What we are talking about is something entirely different. To attend without conflict, to listen without strain, without disturbance. And you can only listen completely, attentively, when to what you are listening, in that there is no profit, no personal motive, no demand, no interpretation, but you are merely listening. And in that state of listening, there is neither watching nor the entity which watches, nor is there a separation from the watching and the watched. It's something completely total. You do this when you are really interested in something completely. Have you ever observed a child with a toy? Till he is familiar with the toy and is fed up with the toy, the toy has completely absorbed him. He is one with the toy. He is not distracted. He loves that toy so completely. The toy has absorbed him. With us too, we want to be absorbed by something, committed to something, so that it will absorb us completely. God, sex, love, 100 things. We want to be committed to something which will completely take us over. And that absorption is not attention. That's only something outside you taking over, absorbing you. Either we have something outside or something inside the skin to which we are committed. Committed as a belief, as a hope, as a despair to something, some neurotic thing to which we are committed. And it is always something neurotic when we commit ourselves to something. And when one is not committed, outwardly or inwardly, and society, whatever society you live in, communist or the other, demands that you shall be committed to something. Because otherwise you are a dangerous human being if you are not committed. So, when neither the outer nor the inner absorbs you, and you have understood the whole process of concentration and exclusion, then out of that comes an awareness, an attention. This is so simple when you understand this whole process. Then you give your whole attention, body, your mind, your everything is active, completely attentive. Listen to that train. If you listen to that noise, to the roar of that train, without any resistance, listen to it completely, without any sense of building a wall against it, then you will say that there is no watcher, the watching.
Just say that you have to leave it out straight. What do you mean that by when you say we have to be absolutely without consideration for it? That's half the, and we have to consider ourselves in a deep struggle.
No, sir, no. I think I've explained during all these talks that a mind in conflict, a brain in conflict, in struggle, becomes a dull brain, insensitive brain, a brain that soon deteriorates. And if you begin to understand the whole process of conflict, which I have gone into over and over again, then you can be observant without conflict.
Obvious that the limited mind, the mind we work with, will never be able to explore. It has to be an expansion of the mind. I have to be in motion with it, in movement with it. That needs this attention of it. But I feel this attention is even if within me this realization takes place, is not automatic. And you speak of the necessity for an extraordinary energy that is required to come to this virtue. It connects with my last question. Where do I find within myself the necessary activation, the necessary energy?
The question is, where do I find the necessary energy which is needed for attention? Right, sir? The energy that activates, that propels, that drives, that moves. Where do I find such energy? How do we find energy? By eating the right kind of food or whatever food it is needed. And also we derive energy through conflict, don't we? Through competition, through struggle. That's all we know. And being caught in that limited energy, we want to expand consciousness. And therefore we resort to various forms of drugs. You're following? The LSD 25 and so on. I won't go into all that. The various forms of drugs that that help to expand consciousness. And at that moment, through drugs, we feel tremendously aware, sensitive, and keen, which gives us a sense, a different quality. All these things which I'm talking about has been gone into by various people who have taken these drugs. Now, how do we derive an energy that has its own momentum, that is its own cause and end? That is propelling itself, that is driving itself, that has no resistance, that doesn't deteriorate. That's what the gentleman asked. How does one come by it? Various religions have advocated various methods. And by pursuing these methods, it is hoped that this energy will be gotten. But methods do not give this energy, because a method implies conformity, practice, resistance, denial, acceptance, adjustment. You follow? Therefore that energy is wearing itself out. If you see that, so you will always avoid any method. That's one. Second, if your energy has a motive and therefore an end towards which it is going, then that energy is self-destructive. But most have a motive, a desire to achieve, to become, to do this, that. Therefore that energy defeats itself. That's two. Three, that energy is made small, petty, when it is conforming to the past. And that is our greatest difficulty. The past is not only yesterday, but every minute that is being accumulated. The thing that's over a second later. That's also destructive of this energy. So a mind that is capable of having this energy must have no motive, no end. It's not caught in time. That's yesterday and tomorrow and today. Therefore that energy is constantly renewing itself, never not degenerating. And it's only that energy which is not committed, which is completely free. It's only that energy can find out that extraordinary thing which is beyond words, which is the unnameable, which that energy must free itself from the known to enter into the unknown. That's enough, isn't it? I hope you all have pleasant journey and that we'll meet next year.